party calls.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever really done that?
No,
Dance?
that's for real. Yeah.
Is that really you?
Yeah, that's really. No.
It's if the roles were reversed, it would be going crazy.
Yeah, well, yeah. If a white person did it to a black person.
So as a black person, like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know. I feel
it is tough.
It is. Yeah,
it's a tough situation that we have. Going
I feel
on.
like
it's just not anything different.
Yeah.
But after 2020, this whole thing exploded with the George Floyd thing, and now,
changed a lot.
and I feel like it relit a fire that was dimming down. I kind of want to talk about that, like George Floyd. So with the 2024 election coming up, do you guys kind of get word of kind of worries of like what's gonna happen? Like,
using his gun, no, you can't fault him either.
Yeah. Did he end up dying?
Yeah, he died. Yeah, he died. Wow. Unfortunately.
I mean, we could take this in a lot of different directions, but. You could just say I'm repping Cali, you know?
Yeah,
if they try to tell you something like, I'm just from Cali.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so we're just gonna get into it. Like I said, I did the intro beforehand. So, so I've known you. How old are we when we were in second grade? Like 7, 8?
Yeah, maybe.
That's crazy. So I've known you since.
It may have been. I think I moved out here.
Did you go to Grapeland?
I did for 1 year. Then I went to Colony. So it would have been
like third grade.
Like, I think I moved out here in 4th grade, so I would have been like 10, maybe.
Okay, and
I think.
How old are you now?
28.
I'm 29. I'm older than you. That's crazy. All right, so 19 years later, we're here, right? Did I do the math right?
That's about 18, 19, something like
okay,
that.
And you're now a police officer in, can we say the city or?
Yeah, you can say the city. It's cool.
So San Diego, and I'm just, okay, like I said, I have videos I want to react to. I have questions, but the real reason why I was so intrigued to talk to you is because it takes a lot of boldness to do what you're doing, a lot of confidence. And so I kind of just want to start there. I want to like kind of pick your brain on why, number one, did you decide to be a police officer of all things? And number two, what inspired you to get on Instagram to start really debunking all these lies that people talk about when it comes to police officers?
So the reason why I became a police officer, it was actually an audible career for me. I had no intentions on doing this. I wanted to be a doctor. That's what I went to school for. And then I just had during COVID, it was kind of hard to go to school and manage school and full-time job at the same time. So I decided to let go of school, started looking for some alternate careers. One of the first ones I looked at was being a firefighter. I started that process. In that process, I had a friend that was telling me to be a police officer. Like, I think you'll be good at it. You got good people skills.
Yeah.
Like, I think everything that requires to be a good officer, you can do it. So I was kind of against it at first because I'm not from the streets, but I come from a street background. I mean, like most of my family, from the hood and stuff like that, gang members. So my understanding of police was like standoff. I don't really fool with police and I'm good. Yeah. And a lot of my family wasn't really fooling with me doing that when I first mentioned it. Really? And they weren't really messing with it at first. And then my dad was like, well, you know what? I think you understand the street, so I think you'll be good at it. If you want to do it, we got, you got our support. And I went ahead and applied, and the process started moving quicker than the firefighter process. So I just stuck with the police officer one, and I kind of prayed between the two, like, God, whatever one's easier for me or whatever one is for me will be for me. And the police one, the ball started rolling, and the firefighter one was kind of slow. So I went with the police route, and I don't regret it at all. I think it was a good decision for me. I think my background makes it easy for me to do the job, and it has. I think I bring a lot more value in the police world than I would in the fire world anyway. So yeah. And then as far as what was that second question again? Why I want to get on Instagram? Yeah, right?
Like what got you to be so bold to do that?
So in the very beginning, especially through the academy, I felt as though there was a lot of things that I thought was true that was not true. Mm-hmm. And
so prior to
me being a police officer, like for example, I thought police officers do whatever they want, get away with it. Yeah. When I first got into academy, I learned that was not the case. These police officers get fired left and right for all type of stuff. So it's a very sensitive career, and people take pride in the badge. So when you do something to tarnish it, like they'll cut you without even thinking twice about it. So especially when you put hands on people or you get into shootings, it's almost expected that we have to do that stuff perfectly. And when you make a mistake, it's scrutinized on a pretty heavy level. So you learn that I quickly found out that being a police officer, you could not do whatever you want, and there was so many rules you had to follow, and it was a lot more strict profession than I thought it was. And like specifically why I chose to get on Instagram though was there was one incident at work that I had where it was a group of black dudes that we had to go speak to, and because they were in front of somebody's yard drinking and smoking and stuff like that. And one of my partners, he's a white dude. He got there first, and he's chopping it up like, "Hey man, you know, we're not really tripping off the drink, but these neighbors are calling because you guys are in front of their house." He's like, "Dude, just go down the street, and then we'll leave you guys alone." I pull up next, and they're kind of going at my partner like, "Oh, bitch ass white boy," like saying that kind of stuff, just calling him out of his name, which wasn't necessary. Then they come to me and they're like, "You the only cool one," and shake my hand. I'm like, "I didn't even say nothing to y'all."
Yeah.
And then I tell him like, "Well, bro, my boy is actually being pretty fair with y'all."
Yeah.
And after that, I just was kind of tired of it. I'm like, "Yo, that's not cool." And it had been more incidents prior to that, similar, but I think that one was kind of like kicking me off the edge because I was already kind of in the air about getting on Instagram about it, but that one right there definitely made me be like, you know what, dude, it's time for people to understand that when we keep putting this racial barrier up, when it's not there, it's hard to understand and educate and see that, you know, all police officers are not bad people. All of them are not out to get black people. That's not the case. So that was kind of like my motive behind it, is just to create that education, and then we'll be able to actually learn how this job is done.
Yeah. And I think you have like a interesting position because you are black, and then you're standing up for what people are against right now.
Exactly.
But you're just like, but you are in that group,
exactly.
right? So it's like a very unique perspective to where like people kind of low key gotta listen.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think like
they can't tell you nothing.
It was funny. One of my boys that on the department, he was like, "Why are you even doing that?" I'm like, "Because I can say stuff that you can't."
It's true.
And he was like, "Yeah, I guess that's true, bro. Like you got it there." So I'm not like I tell people, I'm not trying to be a sellout. I'm still Trey. I'm still the same person that people knew for years. I ain't never changed, but I did get educated in this, so that changed my thinking process for some things. But like, bro, I'm still the same dude. As you can see, I'm wearing the same type of clothes I would have been wearing 5-10 years ago. I'm the same person, bro. So
he was wearing that in 3rd grade, 4th grade. Just kidding.
And some people, I mean, the people that really know me, they know I ain't never changed.
Yeah.
And you know, the people that know me surface level may feel otherwise, but I ain't never changed.
Yeah, you're not gonna please everybody anyways.
Exactly.
So wait, how does your family members feel now? Especially what you're like doing. You're not just being a police officer, you're taking it a step further.
Yeah. So with the whole social media thing, I think at first they were like, "Oh, be careful," because one of my videos I talk about my upbringing.
Yeah.
And then my dad was like, "Yo, don't be talking about the family stuff on there." And I'm like, "Nah, dude, like it's cool. I got hired for me, and all that stuff they already knew about. Everything I mentioned on my page about my life, my department already knew about. So it's one thing if I'm mentioning stuff they don't know, but everything that I'm speaking on in my page is already information that my department knows, so it's okay to speak on it.
Does it come up like on like family parties and stuff, or like really. They're not really caring?
A lot of people are like, "Yo, you're educating me." There's people in my family that I don't see on a regular basis. They're like, "Dude, you're teaching me stuff I never knew."
Yeah.
So I think my family is pretty supportive of it, honestly.
That's dope.
The only thing they were a little questionable about is like now that I'm in the public light, and I'm not super big by all means, but I think I will become a lot bigger.
Yes, you will,
because of how authentic I do it. But I think they were worried about my family being exposed to other people, and I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I carry a gun wherever I go, so if someone wants to try me and do something crazy, then I'll have an answer for them. But I'm not too worried about that. I try to limit my family when I post them. I post my son on my story all the time. I post my wife sometime too, but I do try to limit their accessibility pretty much. So
that's cool. Okay, so I guess, I mean, I have a bunch of questions I want to ask you, but I guess the first one I just have to ask you. So have you ever, there's a video, and we'll play it on the screen, where when people ask about like party calls. Have you ever really done that?
No, that's for real. Yeah.
Is that really you?
Yeah. That's really, no, that wasn't me in that video, but that is how I operate though.
The Mexican parties.
Well, I work in a Mexican neighborhood, so
yeah.
Mexicans usually don't give you a hard time like that when you go to a party call at a Mexican house. They don't really trip like that. Black families a little bit different. They may or may not trip, but from my experience working, because the neighborhood I work in is heavy Hispanic, but there's some pockets of black communities too. And when I go to the black party, sometimes they kind of be tripping, or they start saying like, "Oh, you supposed to be one of us? Why are you fucking with us?" That kind of stuff. Whereas the Mexican parties, they're like, "Oh, sit down, have some tacos, and do this." They're trying to kind of more so invite you in. So that is true. I have never been caught on video in the party or anything like that.
But that's a real thing that happened.
Was a real thing. Yeah, that really happened.
Hilarious.
But when I go to the parties, yeah, I'll dance around and I'll play around, but I just don't take it too far. Like, I'm not gonna go drink beer. I don't drink to begin with, but even then, I wouldn't go drink some alcohol. But to sit down and have a taco or two, if that's gonna make y'all calm down, like, cool, I'll do that. Or
I guess I'll have a taco.
Yeah. If me dancing with y'all is gonna help me build rapport and tell y'all like, yo, let's just calm it down a little bit, dude. What is that gonna bother me? I get paid by the hour, so if I got to sit there for 15 minutes and eat a taco, then cool, I'm with that. So
that was so funny too. When I saw that, I was like, wait, is that really him? I was like, okay, that's not him, but that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing I want to talk about is domestic violence. There's a video where it's domestic violence. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll play that. So can you explain a little bit more what was going on in that situation and why is that so common?
So you talking about the one when he walks in and the dude is
into
the kitchen?
Yeah. So the first, it's like the woman screaming. You hear a scream. Okay. Yeah.
So in that situation, people got to understand that when they're calling us to those kind of problems, like we're forced by law to handle them a certain way. So at least in California, domestic violence is a mandatory arrest. So when they call and they're alleging violence, any sort of violence, someone's going to jail, whether it's the female that called or it's the male that's supposed to be a suspect. Somebody's going to jail. If two people are present and there's alleged violence and there's a domestic relationship, however that is established, then somebody's going to go to jail. So in that situation, you hear the woman screaming, so it kind of elevates your response as an officer. Because I've been in those situations where the woman is kind of unintentionally on the woman, but that's what you hear. You can't help to hear what you hear as a police officer. So you go in there and you want to immediately assess that. And then the officer sees the suspect kind of walking backwards, but he's reaching for something. And I think it ended up being a shotgun, not a rifle. Yeah,
I think it was like an AR
whatever
or something.
The case, I mean, the AR, right? Shotgun, both of those can do a lot of damage to you. So, and then I think at the moment he sees it, he ends up shooting him.
Did he die?
I don't know if that dude died or not. I don't know.
Oh, that was like crazy.
Yeah, that was a crazy one.
Yeah.
And then
have you ever been anything close to that, like a domestic violence situation where the man is trying to, or the woman is like pulling out a gun or just kind of?
I never had that. I've never had one pull out a gun on me, but I've had them to where like they're fighting against us, or we're taking the male in the jail or taking him into custody, and then the woman's like, "Well, I didn't want all that to happen," and now the woman's fighting us off, and it's like, "Well, dude, you shouldn't have called." Because that's what's going to happen. People call us all the time, and they want us to diffuse a situation. But in California, there is no diffusing anything. Like, well, we are going to diffuse. We're going to diffuse it our way, which is what the California law tells us to do it. So, but a lot of the time, people will call in those situations. They're like, "I don't want anybody to go to jail." Well, that's what's going to happen when you call.
So most of the time, it is like the other party calling, or is it like outside third party people that are calling in?
It's like a hard split. I'm going to say it's like 50-50 to where it's like a neighbor calling sometime. They hear arguing. Sometimes it's the woman calling, the man calling. The kids call sometime. Somebody in the house called, a roommate called. So it's like a hard split on. Sometimes it's the person involved calling, and sometimes it's just an outside source.
How often, though, does it happen to where the domestic violence, you guys get there, and then usually it just kind of falls through in the sense? I know you guys have to arrest someone.
Fall through meaning like nobody's going to jail?
Yeah, right. But you're saying someone has to go to jail, right?
Well,
most of the time.
Most of the time, like I'm gonna say, if I had to put a number, like 98% of the time, when you go to a domestic violence, somebody.
I only ask because
if both people are present.
Yeah, I only ask because I was in a domestic violence, and I remember so many times like where I would wish someone called the cops or someone did, and then but like unfortunately it's like, what is that? There's like a syndrome to it, Stockholm syndrome. Yeah. It's like, oh no, don't take him away or whatever. What is that?
I think it's here.
Dude, my hair is everywhere in this studio. It's crazy. I was like, wait, is it dripping? And I was like,
that's what I thought at first. I'm like, yo, what is going on?
I thought it was like a little. Okay, anyways, so there's been many times where, like police is called, and then it's like the woman doesn't want them to go away or something. How often does that happen? Where they're like, they kind of regret the call?
Nearly every time I go. If it's a woman
I
calling,
could see that for sure.
like very few, and they're like, yeah, take his ass to jail. He needs to be out of here. Very few times, or the woman. There's a few times where the woman is scared to death and they don't even want to be involved at all.
Yeah,
But most of the ones I go to where someone's going to jail, a lot of the time the woman is like, no, don't take him. I didn't mean it. Can I take what I said back? I don't want to press charges.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Like take that up with the DA. Like you called us, you said certain things that fulfilled the elements of the crime.
Now we
My
have
hand
to
is
take
forced,
him.
and unfortunately in California they take away our discretion as police officers, meaning like I can't be like, you're probably telling the truth. Like the woman be like, I lied. I'd be like, okay, you're probably telling the truth. Okay, you lied. Let's just let him go now. No, California doesn't allow us that power because it all started because of OJ. The situation with OJ. So after that, they tightened down on.
So with OJ, it was what ended up happening. The police had been called multiple times.
The police had been called multiple times.
By
there
her?
have been times where and she had like take her statements back, or she's like, I don't want to press charges, or the police officers used discretion and didn't take OJ to jail.
Really?
Like just a bunch of situations lined up to where like if they would have had take OJ every time, or even just one time, it probably could have prevented her ultimately could have prevented her death. So
he really got no guilty though, huh?
Yeah, he got away with that.
That's so crazy. How does that happen? Let's talk about that.
That wouldn't happen nowadays.
But how is it that was even able to happen? And how does that not make you feel like the system is like messed up?
I don't know. It's just
you think someone was paid off? Like what happens in that situation?
It could have been that somebody was maybe. I'm not that high in the system to know if that stuff happens.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but I don't know, dude. I think the court system is a court system. I think that when something goes to trial, that black people kind of have the favor. I feel like because people don't understand that in a jury, they're regular people like you and the people that you see around, like people walking the street. Those are regular people that are in that jury. So, especially in a time right now, it's pretty like no one's trying to send a black man to jail, especially against a white woman. They're like, let's not fulfill that narrative anymore. So I feel like that played a little bit of a role too.
How do you feel about that?
About the jury being regular people?
Just the narrative that we have right now, especially after George Floyd, like where ain't no one trying to like, okay, for example, the other day I saw that this woman in Ohio was out grocery shopping with her 3-year-old and then a black woman came up and stabbed the 3-year-old to death.
That's crazy.
But the fact that it's not on mainstream media is because it's if the roles were reversed, it would be going crazy.
Yeah, well, yeah. If a white person did it to a black person.
So as a black person, like, how do you feel about that?
I think that it is. Man, that's tough. I don't know. I feel
it is tough.
It is.
Yeah, it's a tough situation that we have going
I feel
on
like,
right now.
Unfortunately, I feel like there's some black people that take advantage of that.
Okay.
I do think that.
Yeah.
And I feel like in some situations it's kind of deserved because of how we were treated, during slavery, and black people never really got any compensation for that or any, not even like a true credit, I guess you could say. It's not really taught in schools. Like a brief period of Black History Month is taught, but I mean, just the history of my people is pretty extensive, and how deep it goes into America and how much hate America had at one point in time for black people. I feel like that's never been justified or attempted to correct. So I feel like maybe this is kind of allowing it to happen. I don't know.
Do you think that like racism is as big and true as the narrative?
No. So me going to school in Nebraska, I experienced racism for real, like real racism. I met real people that said they don't fuck with black people. I've really met people like that.
That's so crazy to me.
Matter of fact, my first 30 minutes in Nebraska, and there's no disrespect to Nebraska. I learned so much about Nebraska. I mean, about how to be a man being in Nebraska. I learned so much about living in a different part of the country. I learned a lot. But
we're gonna come back to the whole man part. But okay, continue.
So my first 30 minutes in Nebraska, I got off the plane. It's me, one of the homies from San Diego, and one of my homies from Florida. He's driving the truck, and some lady cuts us off for whatever reason. I don't know. And then she sees that there's 3 black dudes in the car. She stomps her brakes. She gets parallel with us. And she's like, you fucking niggers. We don't want you here anyway. That's my first 30 minutes. So people say that they experience racism. Nobody in California, very few have experienced anything to that level.
No.
Especially my age. Like maybe back people that are like our parents' age. Yeah. They probably experienced something to that level. But Nobody has experienced like when they were spraying people with water hoses. That's racism. They weren't picking out like, oh, let's go get that black. Or they're like, any black person we see is getting hit with this water hose. That is real racism, and people have not experienced nothing to that level. And there has been some people that has, but to say that it's prevalent like that, no, it's not. It's not at all. Especially in the police field, in this profession, it's not. It's not common. Or race, I can't say and I can't completely say that racism is not a thing in police work.
Yeah, that would be
ignorant of me.
Yeah.
But to say that it's very minimal, I can definitely say that with confidence. And even like I work with a bunch of different whites, Mexicans, Asians. I've never met a racist cop. And
what about a racist, not a cop, but who do you guys like a civilian? Yeah.
While working, I've heard people say some stuff that kind of will resemble that, but to say that they're racist, I don't know. I would say that they're probably just mad about the situation not going their way, so they're just letting words off. But I don't really think that I can't definitely say that those people are racist, but like I said, it's out there 100%.
It's out there 100%. I mean, I think like before 2020, I mean, we're from California. I never experienced or seen anybody disrespect a black person in front of me, or nor did I even think of like it was just normal. Like we went to school together. It was just like it's just not anything different. Yeah. But after 2020, I feel like this whole thing exploded with the George Floyd thing, and now
changed a lot.
Racism is got like amplified, and I feel like it relit a fire that was dimming down, and so I kind of want to talk about that, like George Floyd. So, I mean, we could take this in a lot of different directions, but I guess we could start off by saying, like, at the time when it was happening, you were not a police officer.
I wasn't a police officer yet, no.
Okay, and so when it first happened, what was your reaction? What was going through your head?
When it first happened, I was kind of numb to it. I'm like, damn, this is just another situation where police, did wrong by a black man, and that's kind of like everybody else's opinion. It was like, damn, did he have to keep his knee on his neck? Like that was fucked up,
Yeah.
I thought like everybody else do, like, and rightfully so, because I also was not a police officer, and my thought of it did not change because I was a police officer. It changed because I got educated about police work. That is why my opinion changed about it. And even then, I still think Chauvin was wrong for how he did it. But he's not all at fault either. Like, I think there was a lot of wrongdoings in that situation. One being that I think I told you before that the paramedics came late. Yeah. So the paramedics coming late. I think they came like 8 minutes later. They came pretty.
That's a long time.
That's a long time when you're dealing with life or death situation. Even 5 minutes, 3 minutes, that makes a big difference. So the paramedics went to the wrong place. So that made them be late. There's no fault for them. Like, let's give them some criticism too. George Floyd was not the easiest person to deal with. He said multiple times he couldn't breathe. He was multiple times he didn't want to go with the program. So let's give him some criticism for that too. And then also, Chauvin at the time, him putting his knee on his neck wasn't necessarily wrong, because the chief came out and said that it wasn't how they trained, but that was a form of the carotid restraint that he was doing, which was okay back then. Shortly after that, the carotid restraint got completely removed from all law enforcement across the country. So, but prior to that bill going into place, that was okay at the time. So to say that he was wrong for that, you can't really say he was wrong, because that was okay at that time. Yeah.
And he was using a lot of he was rebelling a lot.
Yeah, he was fighting a lot too. So taking all that into consideration, you can't really say Chauvin was wrong for his elected use of force, in my opinion. Now, where Chauvin was wrong is he did not reassess. If the person's saying that, hey, I can't breathe, and then he actually kind of goes limp, it's like, whoa, bro, like, ease up a little bit, dude.
Reassess
that's
the
not
situation.
Right. Yeah, reassess. And I kind of see where Chauvin is coming from. Maybe he got desensitized from him saying, I can't breathe, because he been saying it the whole time.
Was it someone just crying wolf? Or
somebody like crying wolf. Yeah, he has said it a bunch of times. So when you hear that, and even me, when I hear people say that, I'm like, dude, you can breathe. Like, I know you can breathe. You're talking, you're hollering, you're screaming, you can breathe. So in that situation, I think Chauvin kind of got desensitized to his words. And not to say that's okay, but because I've been in those situations, I know that's what happened. He got desensitized. And I think Chauvin should have reassessed the situation. That's where he made a mistake. And he should pay a price for that, and as he is. But I just don't like how he's getting all the slack for it. Let's give the same criticism to the people, for the paramedics for coming late, and let's give criticism to George Floyd for not being easy to work with or not going with the program and fighting and doing all this stuff. Like there's a lot of wrongs in that situation, but people are only calling out Chauvin because of being mad at the police is easy to do.
Yeah.
And I don't like that part of it.
So what do you think about? So the death report came out, and I think some people are aware of it. A majority aren't because
a lot of people aren't.
They're suppressing the information. So how much do you think that would affect the people? So if they knew all that.
The George Floyd had a bunch of drugs in the system.
Yeah.
When the intoxicology report came, fentanyl being one of them. Yeah. So I believe that part of him dying was coming off of those drugs. So, but a lot of people don't want to hear that. They're like, oh, whatever. Like, they don't want to hear that part. But that is indeed the fact, the truth. If someone has never seen someone come off of drugs, most people have not seen someone or fought someone on drugs. And when you do, their heart is racing, dude. Like they just ran a marathon.
Yeah.
So to go from that to sitting still, I think that played a huge role into him coming off those drugs played a huge role in his death for sure.
Because the autopsy,
but Chauvin did not help the situation.
Of course, he could have done a lot differently.
Yeah.
Because thinking of the riots and everything that happened in 2020, what's your? I guess I just want to hear your opinion on it. Like everything
on the
riots and everything, like the burning down and just the rioting in general from everybody that was upset. What's your take on it? And the police brutality, like going against not the police with the rioters, it's the rioters against the police, like burning the cars down, police cars down, all the things. It was just craziness. Like what's your perspective on it?
I don't think.
I guess my question is, do you think it was justified?
I understand the logic why people do it. I don't think there's any power in the rioting. I think that the power is in the education. So,
like that.
But the rioting did cause some social pressure. So, I guess that's why I'm saying I get why people do it. But I think we only hurt ourselves when we do that too. You're running businesses to the ground. You're tearing up your own community. That shit just makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, did it cause social pressure? Absolutely. But the power is now on social media. If you really feel that much about it, take it to social media, educate yourself on these laws, start changing the curriculum and how these academies are teaching people. Like everyone's like, oh, police need more training. Well, you're talking about defund the police. How could you want us to get more training, but you want to defund us?
Yeah.
How about you talk about we need to get them more training? Let's get them more. Let's make sure that all police officers are in fighting,
right?
And pick up on some sort of fighting course. If not, if you don't do X amount of hours per year, you get fired. Like that's where the power is at. It's gonna force a deeper change a lot faster rather than doing this kind of stuff, because now you make all the narratives be true about black people. Like, oh, black people, they're not educated, they just do whatever, or they fight police. Like you're just making those narratives be true. So the power is in the education, and people don't want to hear that, but whatever.
Yeah. And the defunding of the police, like that to me was like really sad, because I always say this, it's like all the people that are saying I hate, like F the cops, defund the police, whatever, it's like if your kids went missing,
exactly,
the first people you're going to call are the police.
Exactly. For any big situation, when chaos is cracking off,
call the cops.
Everyone says call the cops.
Like that's naturally.
It's natural. It's a natural response.
It's a natural response, and so that really broke my heart. But I remember we talked about this. So the defunding of the police did not affect your guys' salary, but what did it affect?
Because defund the police, police aren't going anywhere. No matter what people say, the police aren't going anywhere, and pay has to be competitive. So they cannot say, oh, we're going to cut salaries by $20 an hour. Like, dude, people will quit. Like, if they cut my pay by $20, I'm out, bro. I'll go be a truck driver, something else that can pay the same amount of money. So I would never even do this job if they cut it that much.
Right.
So they're not going to cut the pay. They have to continue to pay. But what they can do is start getting rid of officers, start cutting down on training that they do, start cutting down on the type of vehicles that we drive. And if you start doing all that stuff, you start cutting down on officers. It affects the people. It only affects the people.
It literally only affects you.
It only affects the people. And then it affects how many officers we can hire. It affects ability to recruit more officers. It affects the ability to have what do you call it? More incentives, like retirement plans. It affects that kind of stuff, which does affect the officer, yes. But it affects the recruitment for the job, because people get in like, oh, the benefits are good. Like, for example, when it comes to our medical insurance, I don't pay my medical insurance. The city does.
Yeah.
So something like that, if they'd be like, hey, we can't afford to pay you guys, or we have to cut it in half now, it's like people may be like, oh, well, I'm good.
Yeah.
Because that may be a big reason as to why I chose this department or this job.
Right.
I'm going to go jump to a different state or something like that. So it does affects how the quality and how we do the job by nature, because you're taking some of our gear away, you're taking our response time, you're taking away the amount of people we have in the field. So that affects how we perform on the job, the quality of what you have out there, and then it affects the retention of officers as well, and it affects the recruitment of officers as well.
Yeah. I think it's literally just shooting yourself in the foot when
exactly.
That's
when
not
we did that. Defunding the police, and it's unfortunate that some of these people with a lot of followers, they think that's the answer, and it's not, bro. Like, people are upset about how we handle situations. Okay, how about you start voting on these bills to get passed?
Right.
That's
like real change.
That's the real change. Or how about you start lobbying? Hey, I'm good with police, but we're gonna get them more training. So how about we don't want to cut the funding, but let's advocate to where we want that funding to go.
Yeah.
That's where the power is, dude. And I feel like even me, I wish that they paid for us to get more like fighting classes and do more shooting and do all this stuff to make us just overall better officers, but it's not really a thing like that. Yeah. It's not. And it's no shade on my department, but it's like if the money ain't there, it ain't there. They can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, it's not that they don't want to. They literally just don't have the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much with the 2024 election coming up, like as you guys as a department, do you guys kind of get word of kind of worries of like what's gonna happen? Like, is there gonna be more riots, whether this person wins or that person wins?
Yeah.
Like, because of our past of what's happened on both ends, it's like, do you guys, is there any type of talk like that, or is everyone just kind of waiting? Hi guys, I hope you guys are enjoying this week's episode. I just want to take a brief moment to share with you a ministry that I have personally partnered up with, and I want to give you guys the same opportunity. If you're listening to this video, watching this video, most likely you and I both have 100% access to clean water in some way, shape, or form. Unfortunately, that's not the reality for a lot of people. I just want to give you a quick fact. It's estimated that anywhere between 4 and 5 million children die from dehydration every year around the world. Pastor Sean, a good friend of mine, has created a ministry called the Genesis Foundation, where not only are they meeting the needs of people that are in need of water, but they're also giving and sharing the word of God. And so they have created this ministry where they build systems, water wells, where before these families would have to walk miles and miles for access to water. And it's not clean water most of the time. It's actually dangerous water. And so with that being said, the Genesis Foundation now gives them access to a system, a well system, a opportunity to be able to get clean water for a lifetime there in their villages. And not only that, but they're sharing the gospel, they're sharing the good news and leading people to salvation, leading them through baptisms. It's a beautiful ministry. And so it is based out in Pakistan. They focus there and the villages around the surrounding area. But this is such a beautiful ministry to partner up with. Feel free to visit the website and also reach out to Pastor Sean. He has an Instagram and Facebook, which we'll link in the show notes. And he would love to connect with you. He loves giving you updates so you are aware that your funds aren't just going to a random link or a random website. It's actually impacting people. It's actually impacting people's hydration and their spiritual hydration, so they will never ever thirst again. Now let's get back to the episode.
So
hopefully
nothing
happens.
When there is major political events and it's going to cause a protest, we will know about it. They're going to let us know before it cracks off. Somehow, some way, how they get the information, I don't know, but we always find out whenever.
How far in advance?
A lot of times it's like a day or two before, or sometimes it's a week before. But
really,
because
interesting.
Some of these community liaisons that kind of have their ear to the streets, they'll come and be like, "Hey, dude, like we're going to protest. We're just going to let y'all know. If y'all want to interfere, we're going to try to keep it peaceful." Stuff like that. We'll kind of know, or like the social media posts. Like the people that are in charge of that side of the department, they will let us know. They do their job.
They find out.
So if we got to increase staffing for that day, whether that's like holding people over, stuff like that, we'll find a way to make sure people are safe as possible and make sure those things don't go crazy. But to say like, hey, 2 months out, hey, if Trump gets elected, be ready for riot. Like, it's not like that. No. But more so when something is like known that it's about to happen, then we usually know before everybody else. So.
I mean, you kind of have I feel like you have like a pulse check on just society right now. with that, like, what do you believe something's gonna pop off in the streets? Because I only ask this because I hear this a lot in different platforms of people in the political atmosphere, and
Yeah.
they say that it just seems like something can easily happen. Like,
With like, if people are talking about Trump being elected, dude, I don't think anything's gonna happen when he does. I think there's a lot of people that like him, and there's a lot of people that don't, and I think that's about even. And there's a lot of people of color that don't necessarily like, they don't necessarily say they hate Trump. There's some people of color that are like,
no,
I'm
they're
cool
with
him.
it.
Yeah,
A
some
lot of people
like,
are
cool
with
him.
it.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think anything will happen if Trump gets
Really?
elected. I don't think so. I think that, to be
I
honest,
mean, I don't know. I feel like for me, it could be like either or. I'm not just saying Trump. I feel like even if homeboy over here wins, it's like, I don't know.
even if he does do, I don't think
No?
much will happen. I don't think so. I think that there's a pretty fair platform for both people to where it'll be a pretty even call. I feel like it's not like
are you working November 4th?
I don't know. Probably. I'm sure. If not, then if for the election they may have people held over for that, but I don't know. I mean, that's so far in advance. But
You're like, I
it
ain't
depends
think
how
about
the
that.
schedule unfolds.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm just curious to see how everything plays out. I don't know, because like I said, I just hear people saying, like, just given even the Palestine and Israel protests that are happening and everything like that. Have you been encountering anything like that?
Yeah, because it was pretty big at San Diego State.
Oh, yeah, you're in San
we kind of got
Diego.
involved with that one.
Oh, wait, what? You went to the university?
To San Diego State.
Oh, state?
Yeah.
Okay.
University of
that?
San Diego is kind of chill. Like, it's a different crowd of people. So
Aren't they like the party school?
San Diego State is.
Oh, really?
UC San Diego is kind of on some. They're kind of chilling for the most part.
They're like, we got things
San
to
Diego
study.
State kind of was popping off a little bit.
So what walk me through it? Like, what was happening?
It was just people kind of what you see on Instagram, like, refusing to move, that kind of thing. But we didn't really have to do much. Like, kind of like, I think the presence of us alone was enough to kind of get people out of there. But
I guess
I think
like, I never understood
one of the days that I was not working, I think there was a lot of people that went to jail. Like, I think like 10, 20 people. But I don't know 100% on that. But
so what is a probable cause for them to get arrested in protests? Like, if they're causing vandalism?
If they're vandalizing, if they already been trespassed, if they're like preventing people from walking in walkways, if they're blocking emergency lanes, stuff like that. Like, kind of like the common reasoning.
Yeah.
For the most part. So.
Yeah, but nothing crazy happened?
Nah, not when I went. No, nothing crazy happened.
That's good. We don't want craziness.
Yeah.
Okay, now kind of transition into kind of two sadder videos that I remember seeing. So the first one was with the autistic.
Yeah, that was a sad one.
That was really sad.
Yeah.
So what happened with that?
So, from my understanding, and that happened right up here too in Hesperia, I think. Not too far though. It was in San Bernardino County. Yeah, it was really, really close to here.
Oh my gosh.
But that one was sad because they had been trying multiple times the police had been called multiple times because of whatever situation, mental crisis he was going through at that time. But it had been a chronic issue that had been going multiple times. And then on this particular time when they got there, and as you can see in the video, he ran out before the deputy even walked in the doorway. Ryan Gaynor runs out with the stick. And you see the officer run away. That's de-escalation, in my opinion. He's running away he's trying to do everything he can not to get into a shooting. So he's running away, which people don't give him credit for. Like, he's trying to stop this from happening. And it's like, dude, what do you expect him? You wanted to get stabbed first? Like, that's unreasonable. And people don't realize that. And I kind of get it a little bit. They look at us as heroes, like Superman and Batman. Just go in there and take it from them. And you should be able to get stabbed. That's what you signed up for. And it's like, no, dude, we are regular people. We have regular skin like
with
you.
families.
With families. Dude, I'm not getting stabbed for somebody, bro.
For real.
And if I can prevent it, I'm going to prevent it. But some situations, you can't prevent it.
Yeah.
And that situation, he tried to prevent it, and he used his gun, that's what a reasonable person would do. You put somebody else in that situation, I think any other person would do the same thing. So,
yeah.
But that situation's tough, man. I think that, can you fault him for running out with a knife? He's not in his right mind. So can you fault him? No. Can you fault the officer for using his gun? No, you can't fault him either.
Yeah. Did he end up dying?
Yeah, he died. Yeah, he died.
Wow.
Unfortunately, he died, and it just sucks because I feel like, once again, it's easy to blame police, but can we blame not blame, but let's get the parents from criticism for not seeking, where's the intervention, right?
Yeah.
Where's the intervention? And maybe or maybe not the parent did. I'm not, but I know from my experience when I go to those calls, we try to give the parent a plan like, hey, do you need to do these things for your kid?
Yeah.
And they don't do it, and we keep coming back, and we keep coming back, and we keep coming back. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened in that situation. I can't say 100%, but from my experience, if they went multiple times,
Yeah.
and there was no solution, it doesn't seem like there was no intervention, then
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
happens. That's when the situations lead to that.
Yeah, when I saw that, I mean, it was sad. I feel like any time like mental illness or kids involved, it's like, man, that sucks. But it's like, dude, what do you expect?
What do you expect?
Like you guys have families, you guys have to go home
Exactly.
to as well. You have to protect yourselves. Like, you guys don't have kryptonite where you guys could just go in.
We don't have that ability. Yeah, we wear a vest, but like, dude,
Yeah.
we're not gonna just take a bullet for something that can be prevented. Like, it's one thing if he came out the house and he just shot. That's what that's for. We couldn't prevent that, right? That's different. But if we can move and prevent and try to escape, or we can use resistance to prevent hurting ourselves, then we're gonna do that. And I think it's almost like people have to be in those situations to understand what we're in. And then even then, it's also sad that people will be like, well, that's what you signed up for. It's like, nah, bro, I did not sign up to get hurt. I accept the liability of the job. I accept the dangers of the job. I accept all of that. But I'm not a punching bag. I'm not a shooting target. I'm not a stabbing target. All that is not going to happen if I can prevent it. So.
Yeah, 100%.
And even with the Ryan Gaynor situation, I was in a situation very, very, very similar to that. And just like them, in our situation, the kid was just vandalizing the home. He's tearing the place up. Looked like a tornado ran through there. And we kind of was like, hey, we're not going to go in there if it's just property crime. We're not, hey, that's your house, whatever. Like, let your house get destroyed. Because if we go in there and he fights with us, we're going to do what we need to do to protect ourselves. Uh-huh. And we also were like, yo, there's kitchen knives in there. If he runs out with a knife, what do you expect us to do? He's going to get shot, whether it's with a beanbag or a live round.
How old is he? How old is he?
He was like the same age as Ryan, like 15, 16, but he was way bigger. This kid was huge. He was way bigger than Ryan.
I ain't going in there.
Yeah, we're like, dude, if we can prevent it, we're not going to go in there. So then it came down to a situation where the mom was like, well, y'all not doing anything. Okay, well, we told you the potential consequences if we do.
Yeah.
So you guys are just going to leave. We're like, no, we're going to make the safe decision for all of us. How about you go get a hotel? Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, well, my daughter, it was another kid in there. Okay, let's try to get her out. So we try to get the daughter out through a different, I think through a window or like a back room or something like that.
Really?
In the midst of us trying to do that, the daughter starts screaming. So now it changes our response. We have to go in, just like in the Ryan Gaynor situation.
So she was screaming. So I think like from the brother doing
inside,
something.
That's how we perceived it.
Okay,
that's how we perceived it. So the daughter was screaming inside the home, just like in Ryan Gaynor, that the officers had knowledge that the sister was getting actively assaulted, just like in my situation. We heard the screaming when we got there, so it's like, yo, we're not gonna just stand here. What if he's stabbing her? What if he's punching her? We don't know what's going on. We just hear screaming, and we know that there's an agitated person inside that's not in their normal state of mind. So with that being said, we kicked the door in. We went in there, but he ran out of the room that she was in and locked himself into a bathroom. So now it's back to a contained situation. So with that scenario, we were able to walk away. We're like, yo, he's in there. We're out of here. We're gonna let him stay. Get your daughter out. Y'all leave. Once again, mom is like, hey, you guys aren't doing anything. Well, I don't care. Like, I guess we're not doing anything. We're out of here because if we warned you of what are the potential consequences if he does X, Y, Z, and there's nothing to ensure that he's not going to do X, Y, Z, grab a knife, fight with us. You have nothing to ensure that. So what do you expect us to do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If somebody, if somebody does not, she's like, take him to the hospital. If somebody does not want to go, there's only one way to get somebody from point A to point B, which is using force to get them to go there if they don't want to go. So people think we got these magic words like please and beg you, dude. If somebody doesn't want to go, they don't want to go. Right?
Especially if they're already in that state.
They're already in that state of mind, dude. If someone doesn't want to go, they're not going to go. We're not going to go shoot some dust in the air and they're going to calm down. We don't have that kind of, at least that type of technology ain't available yet. Like people are asking us to do things that are unrealistic. Soon. Maybe so, but let's come out with how about people lobby for stuff like that rather than like being mad how we handle stuff. So.
No, for real. I mean, so when people are like suicidal or they're claiming that they're going to hurt someone, and you could tell they're like not in a good state. So you guys can't arrest them? What's the thing with like
So
suicide?
they go. So if we can make contact with them, we can put hands on them. We're gonna. It appears to be an arrest to everybody else, but it's really called a detention, and we're detaining them for the purpose of a 5150 welfare institutional code. So, and that would take them to the hospital so they can get a mental evaluation or seek mental help. It's not an arrest like people think, like they're not going to jail, but they are going to handcuffs, and the process is very similar to someone being arrested. They're going to go in the back of the car, the handcuffs are going to go behind their back and all that kind of stuff, and we're just taking them essentially against their will to go get help from the hospital,
Right.
because we feel like they would not go on their own.
Yeah.
And that is why somebody like a parent is calling us like, did you try to get them to go on? We asked that question, hey, did you try to get them to go on a voluntary basis? Yeah, but they didn't want to go. Okay, so what are the reasons as to why we need to go forcibly make them go? Are they actively trying to kill themselves? Or they haven't taken a shower in 5 days? Have they ate in 5 days? Are they sitting in their own poop? Are they sitting in soiled clothes? Stuff like that. What are the reasons? If the reasons are valid enough for us to go and forcibly make them go to the hospital, we'll do it. But if it's too dangerous for us to do it, there's no crime here. We're gonna walk away. So that's what the public kind of gets upset about, that because we walk away from a lot of situations where it's just too dangerous for us. Like that situation that I just mentioned, where we could have potentially gotten to a stabbing, fighting them. We're gonna walk away from that because there's no criminal aspect here. It's not a crime to be crazy. It's not a crime to not take your medicine. It's not a crime.
You have to weigh out like your
risk to reward, is what we call it.
Yeah, that's big. Now the other one was this one was like real sad. Actually, let me pull it up. I'm gonna go my phone.
Okay.
I want to get the name of it. Where did I put my phone? Okay, so it's let's see. Well, it was when it was the wrong apartment. Mm-hmm. So what happened with that?
So in that situation,
and mind you, I'm not coming at you like, what the heck? Like, you guys messed up.
Like, the right questions.
Like, I'm just like, dang. I think it's good for people to like hear from a perspective from a police officer, because you read the headline and you're like, oh heck no, right? But what really happened? Because there's a backstory to everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, for one, I want to say that it's okay to challenge our profession. That is what the people are for. It keeps us in a normal. It keeps our eyes, not our eyes, but it allows us to take the public into consideration when people challenge what we do. So you asking those questions is not like, you don't have to say you're trying to challenge me. It's like you want clarity. Yeah. You deserve to get clarity. So, and that's for everybody. Like I leave myself vulnerable to that. Like, dude, ask questions and all that kind of stuff. Criticize us, but criticize us with knowledge. So, but to get on that topic, in that situation, I think people need to understand that the role of the citizen and the role of the officer, people you cannot look at the story and play Monday Night Quarterback and be like, oh, well, the officer should have known. Like, he didn't know. Let's play it for how it is. Yeah. And then play it for how it is for the citizen. Play it for how it is for the deputy that went up there. So, the deputy, someone called. The deputy didn't choose to go up here. Someone called and said, hey, this is the apartment that this potential disturbance is coming from. Yeah. Now, did the deputy, should he have asked more questions? You can say that he should have asked more questions. Second thing, the deputy shouldn't have went up there alone. That's another thing. We don't go to calls alone. Anything with, especially domestic violence, we're going with somebody else.
Was that domestic violence? Oh, yeah.
It was potential domestic violence dispute. It was an argument going on.
Right.
So, and one thing I can say about the people that kind of run these apartments, when they say there's a dispute going on, I've never, ever experience it going to the wrong apartment. They know their apartments well, and they know their tenants, and they know where the stuff is coming from. So the woman specifically tells him an apartment number. The officer goes up there, or the deputy goes up there. He knocks and he announces himself as a sheriff department, which is what we have to do. That's by law. We have to say who we are. And then he does it again, and then he hears the person on the phone say that, because he's on the phone with his girlfriend at the time, FaceTime, and he says the cops are at my door. And then the dude opens the door, and the officer sees the gun, and he shoots him. Now people are saying like, oh well, the gun wasn't raised, it was no threat to him. Yeah, but when you're in that situation, I don't think people realize that you can lift from your waist. You can lift a gun up and shoot. Yeah. The average person can shoot about 6 bullets, can do all that in less than 2 seconds. You can fire 5 to 6 bullets and lift that gun up. Yeah. All within 2 seconds. Yeah. So to say that that the officer should have waited.
It could have been too late.
It could have been,
Yeah.
Maybe.
No. If he would have waited, it could have been too late for him.
It could have been too late.
Yeah.
But in the people's defense, that officer ended up getting fired for that shooting. He
Really?
got fired. I don't agree with it. When I read the report as to why he got fired, it said he violated policy, and it wasn't found reasonable that he shot him in his doorway like that. I think that was a little politically motivated. I do believe so.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I don't think the officer did anything wrong. I don't think the civilian did anything wrong.
Yeah.
Technically, because, well, I'll even speak on what he did wrong. If he knows that he said that the cops were at his door, so he knew that the cops were there. So
why are you gonna pull up a gun?
Why would you hold a gun? That's
Come
not.
on.
That's just.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Is
Did
it
he
reasonable? He died. Yeah, he died.
Crazy.
Is that also reasonable to walk up to a door with a gun after you know that the police are there?
No.
Right?
Yeah.
But to even take it a step further, I had someone in my comments say that, well, people pretend to be police all the time. That is true. So,
what do you mean?
like, people pretend to be like, I'm the police, I'm the police.
Okay.
That happens, bro. That happens.
Yeah.
That does happen.
Yeah,
so,
that does happen.
On a rare occasion, it happens. It's not common, but to give him the benefit of the doubt, let's just say that was possible.
Sure.
So how do you fault either person? Do you fault the person for walking up with the gun? Do you fault the police officer for thinking he's going to a domestic violence dispute? I think that nobody should have been at fault for that. I think it's just a true accident.
That's the thing with that. There's no absolutes because because there's so many moving parts to that situation, and I really believe like people don't have those motives. Like, you really think that police officer is going out there like, I'm gonna kill someone that
if he's black, I'm gonna let him have it.
Like, I'm gonna kill him, and it's gonna be like, come on, like people like think of the logic. He's gonna lose his job. He's gonna commit murder. Like, why would he do that? And I'm sure his track record in his past is like legit. So that's crazy.
No one's risking it all. Like, dude. No one hates black people, at least not now, to be doing that. Like, dude, I'm gonna go up. If he's black, I'm letting him have it. He's gonna get shot. You're going to jail for murder. You're gonna lose your family. You're losing your job that pays you $100K a year.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro.
The logic's not there. Yeah. All right, so I do have a couple more questions. So sadly, I'm not sure what month it was, but it was it Texas when Joel Osteen, is that where his church is at?
Yeah, in Texas, yeah.
So freaking someone went in there and started firing shots. Now, I believe in the Second Amendment. This is my personal opinion. I believe that we should be able to bear arms for many reasons, but especially for situations like that, because wasn't it like a civilian that was able to
put the dude down?
Yeah. So, like, what's your thoughts about schools, churches having someone on staff with guns? Because,
I'm actually a big believer in that. Even like that Joel Osteen situation, if you would have had, let's say, every church is different, but I grew up in not apostolic. I said apostolic. I grew up in.
I don't even know what that is. What is apostolic?
It's a type of church. I don't know why I said that, but I grew up in a like a Kojic type of church or non-denomination.
Okay.
Both of the two, pretty much, and we have deacons in our church, so I feel like the deacons should be able to carry.
Yeah.
I feel like the pastor should be able to carry. Like, it should be okay. And even then, it's private property, so there is ways to kind of finesse that. But I do think that it should be more of a standard. Like, hey, dude, like, deacons need to carry guns. Pastors need to have a gun to prevent crazy situations like that.
Yeah.
And but it's like guns are so despised in the church, and it's like, dude, for people in church, and not just people in church, but all people to understand that the gun is not the problem. It's the people with the gun.
Yeah.
But when we fight gun violence and guns, it's like, dude, when you do that, you stop the good people from having guns.
Yeah.
You're never gonna stop the bad people. You're never gonna stop somebody from the cartel getting a gun. You're never gonna stop a gang member from getting a gun. You're never gonna stop that.
Well, that's my logic, because I personally am like, okay, if we take away guns, the bad people are actually going to be the only ones
with the gun. That is so silly, bro.
Because they're going to find a way, because they don't even have.
Come on, bro.
They don't have it licensed. They don't go through background checks. Like, they're just grabbing it. Exactly. I mean, not at all times. So there's some people like that have done the mass shootings, and it's like completely they gone through the background checks.
Yeah, they obtained them legally.
Yeah, exactly. But come on, like, for me, it's like we should be able to have our weapon. And like, I have family members that are super against it, but and we talk about it all the time. I'm like, look, if someone were to come up to our house right now,
Exactly. What are you
we're
gonna do?
we're just gonna like throw our hands up in the air.
Come on, bro. That's,
Like, it's crazy. So as a cop, how do you feel about it?
I'm a big believer in guns.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. I'm a big believer in guns because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good you fight. There ain't nothing. You can't beat up a bullet. So that is the ultimate equalizer. I do think that is the ultimate level of protection is a gun.
Yeah.
So I just feel like people that use them wrong should just be punished severely. That's what I think should happen. So, and they need to ease, especially in California, dude. Like I said, the tighter they get on these rules, even as a cop, there's places like I was at the hospital once, and I was getting an X-ray, and I'm like, I told the nurse like, hey, or the technician, I'm like, hey, dude, like I'm a police officer, I have my gun, so when I lift my shirt up, don't have a heart attack. You want to give people that warning, and she's like, oh, you need to go check it in. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing that, so let's cancel the appointment if that's what you feel like that needs to happen. And she's like, well, no, we have a policy about checking in. I'm like, okay, do you have a policy? Do you have a metal detector out there? And she's like, no. I'm like, okay, do you have any preventative measures to stop someone else from walking in here with a gun? No. And I'm like, so why would you have the one person who's a trained shooter and can legally carry a gun? You're going to tell me to step out. But if someone wants to come in here and shoot this place up, you have nothing to stop them.
No.
You don't have to call 911. I told her you don't have to call 911. I'm here. Yeah. I would be the first one here. And she's like, well, I'll let it go this time. I'll let it go this time. No. You're going to need to let it go every time until you guys have a metal detector up there or someone on the premises that also has a firearm to protect us in those situations.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, you're good.
To protect us in those situations, so.
Yeah. I mean, I think just the whole argument is just really, like, it's not logical. Even, like, okay, even people saying that there shouldn't be like someone with a gun at schools, like that's dangerous because it's like, but they'll be protecting the people that are dangerous with the gun. I don't understand why. It's not so hard. Yeah. It's not
but it's hard. Just like, just make those people go through more. Like, hey, dude, if you carry this gun, you're going to get paid a little bit more. But if you make a mistake, you're going to pay for that too. If you do something you ain't supposed to do, you're going to pay for that. So just make it a little more strict on them, but give them an incentive for doing it too. Because a lot of people are like, I don't want that responsibility. Okay, well, make it incentivized to have that responsibility. But like I said, people don't think about it. They just think, oh, taking guns away is going to be the problem solver. No, it's not. It's not going to stop anything.
So I know, like, I don't know how you feel about women having guns.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of that too. Hell yeah. I do think that.
You don't have to answer this, but does your wife have one?
Nah, she does. Well, so I have multiple guns. So I leave one at the house with her, obviously.
She knows how to. Yeah, she's gone through training and stuff?
Well, I taught her how to shoot. So she knows how to shoot. Yeah. She can unload and deload. She can fix a malfunction.
Shout out, sis.
Yeah, she can do everything, yeah. So she can shoot a little bit. She can shoot good enough to stop somebody that came in the house that ain't supposed to be there. So I leave a gun at the house for her at all times so she can use it if she needs to. But I'm a big fan of women. I think women should be able to carry. I think that'll stop a lot of this nonsense.
Because, like you said, pepper spray don't work.
Nah. Some of it do, like the stuff that we use, works pretty good. But even then, dude, you fight somebody that's motivated, dude, they'll fight through it. Because even us, like, I can fight through pepper spray. I can do everything functionally. I can't do it as well, but I can still function with spray in my eyes.
Yeah, and if they have a motive and
if you're motivated to do it, you can definitely do it. If you're high or something like that, it's no problem. You'll be able to function. So. I do think that women should be able to carry, but I think that when these women use it wrongly, they should be punished severely too. Yeah, that's what I feel like.
For sure. Like it can't be a double standard.
Yeah, it just can't be a double standard.
Yeah, I mean, I saw recently it was like a grandma, like an intruder came into the house and it was a grandma with her grandchild. And she shot that guy up. I was like, hey, like, that's what she's like, this is the only thing between you and my grandchild. I'm like, dude, imagine if she didn't have a gun in there. Yeah. That's why I'm like, to me, it's like so common sense. And then we have Christians that say like, well, God wouldn't want that. That's not true. God wants you to protect you and protect your family. You're tripping. You think he just wants you to just submit
That's crazy,
to danger? Like, no, you are called to be a protector for your family as a man, especially. So you should be able to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. But, that's neither nor here or there. Okay. There was another one. What was it? You said that people say thank you to you.
Oh, yeah, that happens a lot, bro.
Okay, so I thought that before I watched the whole thing, I thought that it was more so because people knew that they were bad and they needed to like freaking be in jail. You know that they
that happened to me once. There was me and one of my homies that I ride with, he taught me a lot actually. Shout out to him, my boy Manny.
Shout out Manny.
Yeah, we was riding. We took this girl to jail, and some weeks later, she was like, "Dude, thank y'all because I needed to sober up. Jail helped me sober up." So that was one situation where someone was like, "Yo, I'm kind of glad you took me to jail."
Yeah.
But what I mean by thank you is that some people are like, some people who have been to jail a lot, they didn't get treated as well. And when they interact with me, they get treated well. They're like,
they get taken to McDonald's.
Yeah, I did that once.
I was like, okay, so once I started watching it, I was like, oh, it's because he's cool with them. Yeah. I was like, that's pretty cool.
And it's not even being cool, it's just being respectful. Like, I treat people like humans. Like, a lot of my family's been to jail. My dad's been to jail. A lot of my family's been in and out of jail. So, when I look at it, it's like, dang, what if this was my pops? I at least want the dude to do it right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So, I always keep that into consideration when especially when I'm taking somebody to jail. I'm like, okay, no matter what they did, my pops went to jail. Yeah. How would I want my dad to be? How would I want the officer to treat my dad? Yeah. And I try to keep that in mind.
That's a good mentality to have.
That kind of keeps me even, because I've taken some just dirt bags to jail, bro. And I'm like, dude, you're a piece of shit. Like, I don't have to treat you like anything, but I try to just kind of keep that thought in the back of my mind. And then, like I said, a lot of the time I get told thank you. And it's a lot, like way more than I thought it would be. So.
Yeah, well, I feel like you're just a very composed, chill person, so I don't see you being malicious, or anything like that. And of course, there's always going to be a percentage of dirtbags in every industry. Yeah. Like that's just even in church. Like
of course, like there's grimy people in there too.
There's very grimy people. So there's grimy people everywhere because humans suck sometimes. So. Yeah. But to think that all officers
that's crazy, bro.
is just really sad. So with that, my last question is, what is something you want to tell everybody like that's watching that you wish that they would know about police officers, or just in general, if something about life, like anything that you've learned being a police officer?
I would say the number one thing is just respect the badge, bro. There's people that die for this badge. There's people that have lost everything, dude. They lost close friends. They risk their life every day putting it on. So respect the badge, but you don't really got to respect the person that wears it. But when you respect the badge, it gives you an opportunity to see the good cops. But when you just disrespect the badge and you don't like the badge, you disrespect every cop. You know what I'm saying? And try to give every cop an opportunity. But the only way to do that is to respect the badge. Like, dude, I respect what you got. I respect your authority. But if you want to be an asshole, you want to be a dickhead, okay, that's cool. Then we can act that way. Yeah. But with me, like somebody like me, and there's a lot of officers like me that are actually pretty cool. But when you come out swinging right away, or you're like automatically shutting it down, or you're shut off, or you don't want to conversate, and I'm not talking about conversate in a situation where you're about to go to jail, or when you're about to get Mirandized. You don't have to talk about the crime, but like as far as like being open to communicate, or when I'm asking you to do something, you're doing it, you don't want to fight with me all the time. Like just being open to a line of communication. When you allow that, then it's a lot easier to see, okay, the good officers and the bad officers, because there's definitely some bad ones. Yeah. And there's some officers who are just naturally like not evil people, but just are not the most social. So I would say the number one thing for me is just respect the badge, bro. You don't have to respect the person that's wearing it. That's like my big message. So.
And I guess one more question. What is one of the biggest lessons you've learned about like after being a police officer that you take on? Hold on, let me rephrase it. What is like a lesson or something you've learned being a police officer that you take back home to your family or your everyday life? What's something that you could still like that you use in your whole life? Whether it's like something spiritual, mental, it could be something small, or just like a situation that you had that impacted you.
I think I have a higher appreciation for life. I've seen a lot of people take their last breath, unfortunately. Wow. I've seen a lot of dead bodies. So I feel like I learned to appreciate life a lot more. Yeah. I appreciate like the time with my son and stuff like that, because I've seen parents watch their kid commit suicide. I've seen all that crazy stuff. Oh my gosh. When you see that kind of stuff, you're like, dude, I'm glad my life is the way it is. And I feel like doing this job has made me appreciate my life and my family a lot more. So yeah. Oh, okay. Was there anything else you want to let people know? Actually, yeah. So what's up with the gear? Oh yeah. So this guy walks in, and I'm like, that's a cool hat. Yeah, this is his hat. I didn't know you had a whole brand. Yeah, so everybody kind of asks me about my hats now, because I wear them in every video, and it's my brand. I made it a couple years ago. And I honestly only made it because I was tired of buying these expensive shirts. So I found a shirt that a good quality shirt that I thought was cool. And I created this name called Authentic Breadwinner. And the reason why I did it, the motive was kind of because of my dad. My dad, he was somebody that sold drugs his whole life. And as he got older, he was like, not his whole life, but in his younger life.
Right.
And once he got out of jail, or out of prison, he was really big on us not doing anything illegal to get money. And he was like, fast money will go fast and it'll get you somewhere you don't want to go, which is jail or potentially dead in the grave.
Yeah.
So he was always big on like, dude, you can hustle, but hustle the right way. Sell candy, sell shoes, just find a way to make money, but just don't do illegal stuff to get it. And that's what made me come up with this. Like, dude, I've always been a hustler. I got the hustler in me from my pops, but I ain't never did nothing illegal to get money. I've always done it like a legal way, whether it was selling shoes, candy. I always found a way to make some money. I was washing cars. I'll cut people, whatever it is. And so that's basically what this represents is people that make money and do it authentically, authentic breadwinner. So
that's so dope. And
then the hats, I just pretty much make the hats like the freeway emblem. I pretty much just put the areas that I grew up in. So the 110 freeway is I lived in Compton for a little bit, so this is like a big freeway over there. I have one that says the 91. I got one that says the 105.
We need a 210 one.
I got a 210 one. I got to represent
15
the IE
North.
Too.
Yeah.
Don't
forget the IE.
So, yeah. I just pretty much the areas I grew up in.
Yeah.
And then since I work in San Diego, I'll make something for San Diego. But
so is your dad still alive?
My pop's still alive.
That's so
my
cool.
parents are together. I grew up
so
in a two-parent household.
He's getting to see this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, my dad's not like a super vocal guy. He's not like an affectionate dude, like, oh man, I love you. No. But I know he's proud of what I'm doing.
But he knows like why you chose that name and everything.
I don't think he knows why.
Are we about to clip this or we're about to tag him? Does he have a social?
He got an Instagram.
Okay, we're about to tag him.
But I never told him that's what it was for.
Oh, you
that's
should
what it means though.
Well, he's gonna know now.
Yeah, I'll send him this whenever you clip it up. So.
All right, cool. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming. I appreciate it, and we'll drop your link. Do you have like a link for your store and everything?
I'm still working on it. All right,
well, we'll drop his Instagram. And you can DM him and do all the things. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Bye. I need the 210 one.
I got you. I'll let you up.